And happy Sunday, everybody. I'm Reverend Charlotte McGinnis. And as always, I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in and join me on this beautiful Sunday morning. And this Sunday morning is 2 days before two big events on Tuesday, one being the midterm elections, which we've heard about now for many, many months over and over. And of course, the lunar eclipse, the full eclipse, which we won't see another one till March of 25. So two big events coming up, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But again, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to tune in and join me, and would love it if you'd be willing to pass this along to your friends, push that share button, and offer any feedback on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel as to how I can serve you better. As always, the prayer ministry is here to support you, and all you need to do is go to my website, charlottemcginnis.com, click on the prayer request, and we will get our team praying for you immediately. All those great Alliance of Divine Love ministers are ready to serve in that capacity. Well, and everything else you need to know about what I have to offer is on the website, so check it out. Okie doke. Well, first of all, before I get into the conversation that I have planned today, it's always a solemn week for me and a lot of my friends who up here who lost a dear friend 6 years ago, November 4th. Our friend Terry Wetton, who was just a sweet spirit, great soul, and good friend to so many of us. And he actually was our music minister at the Namaste Center. And for years, Terry and I worked hand in hand together and really had a magical connection, lots of fun, and just really loved having him by my side each Sunday. So needless to say, when he died in his sleep, it was traumatic and certainly changed not only my life, but the life of the Namaste Center and all his friends and family who cared for him deeply. So I have so many great memories of Terry, and thankfully got to spend some good time with him before he passed. I didn't know, obviously, that would have been the last time we would have had together, but you just never know. So take note of that and know that anything can happen at any time. So make sure you take time to cherish those people you care about and be with them. One of the songs he wrote, he wrote it in his last months of being here on the planet, and it was called What Might Have Been. And I loved it, and so did everybody else. He actually debuted it at the Namaste Center, standing ovation. Everybody just went crazy for it because it was really a story of his life and how he literally walked away from all the accoutrements that, so many of us think we want and need and desire, the car, the house, the situation, relationships, all of those things. And he just was unsettled and took that total leap of faith into the unknown, not knowing, really walked away from everything, his money, his career, everything, and not knowing where he was going to go. But there was an inner calling that led him to do that and gave him the faith and the confidence to take that leap of faith and that step from the known and the comfort zone to the unknown. Well, it was a great journey for him. He definitely pursued his dream and brought many blessings and gifts into his life and to the lives of so many. And I think that what really touched me and so many others, and if it is on my Facebook page, if you want to listen to it, I do have it up, that, it makes you realize follow your heart. Okay. Make sure that you're not caught in this wheel of production and maybe a stale job or a relationship or what have you, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we follow our hearts and listen to that and move on to that which brings us greater good. And so that gets me thinking too, maybe you all think about this, but I think about it a lot. I think about how our lives, I look at my life, I reflect back, and there were many incidents. Well, every step we take, every action we take, every decision we make leads us to where we are in this moment. And every decision and thought we have, all of these things we focus on in this moment determine where we're going in the future. So I always think, what would have happened if I'd never been introduced to golf? How my life would have been different? Because at age 7, that definitely took me on a track for 50 years. So it was definitely a big impact on my life. What about if I hadn't had the Namaste Center? Or the Palm Beach Center for Living? What if I hadn't been introduced to A Course in Miracles or other spiritual teachings that I've been introduced to over the years that have been so meaningful, Paramahansa Yogananda? What if I hadn't met Ellen? What if I had what if we hadn't moved to Flat Rock? You think of these things, what might have been. And, I think about it, not too much, but really the point I'm choosing to make is, those decisions that I made that brought the most reward and the most blessing into my life were those that I made from my heart. And some of those weren't really popular or supported in certain ways, but they were definitely what my heart led me to do. And I can say, thankfully, that this life that I've led up to this point, I have pretty much done for the most part on my terms. And I'm grateful for that. And I appreciate all the steps that it's taken to get me from there to here. And so I'm not really looking back as much as what might have been based on, Terry's song and so on, what might have been if I hadn't had this experience or followed through with this or done this. So just the message that I'm sharing with you is, really, the more we tune into our hearts and follow that, that's where the treasure lies. Don't let your programs and your friends and your family and your fear dictate the decisions you make. It takes courage to walk in, to take the path less traveled, the road less traveled. But that, of course, is the road that makes all the difference when we take that. So it takes courage. You want to make sure that you tune in and ask, and you surround yourself with ideas, ideals, people, situations that support your journey and support your heart opening. So just something to ponder, and hopefully you'll consider that and understand that it's never too late, because all there is right now, this present moment. And in this present moment, I have the opportunity to choose what thoughts I'm thinking, the direction of the actions I take. And I also know that I speak about this often. I was just talking to someone a couple of days ago about, I just want to clean up my stuff. I don't want to have any stuff lingering. I don't want to have any resentments or anger or judgments or fears or any of that, because I do believe that what we don't learn will come back in an even bigger, bolder way. So just something to ponder. So as we move forward, as I said, this is a week that we've been speaking of on many levels, spiritually, astrologically, politically, financially, all of these systems, ideas, thoughts that we've been talking about and building upon are all coming to a crescendo this week. And by that, this election has been very interesting to watch. And speaking of such, a great opportunity for forgiveness. And I want to share some ideas, and how we can show up for this in the most enlightened, loving, positive, and powerful way. And so we've got the election coming up Tuesday. There's a lot at stake, obviously. There's a lot of stake on both sides. There's the representation in the House could be shifted. There's lots of things. And you're not going to hear me take a side, because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to really speak from a higher place of really, again, coming from our heart and what is the greatest good for everybody. And not to mention, early that morning, I think at 3-something that morning, we've got this full lunar eclipse, okay? And then it's a blood moon, which is a very powerful energetic situation that comes not very often. And as I said, the next one comes in March of 2025. So you add that to the election and all the energetics around it and the frailty of the economy and just all the stuff going on the planet. And it's going to be interesting. So we got to hold on and stay balanced, stay steady, and know that the truth of who we are, our soul is unaffected, not impacted by any of this. So the more we go inward and trust and have faith and confidence, then the less I'll be impacted by what's happening. So of course, like I said, total lunar eclipse, blood moon this Tuesday, as if that's not enough. Lunar eclipses are the most dramatic tool the universe uses to effect change and speed up timetables for necessary action. So I don't know if it's just me, and I don't think it's just me, because I talked to a lot of people during the week about this and that and what have you. And I was just speaking to a friend yesterday, and she's like, can't you just feel something's going on? I mean, something big is coming. I was talking to another friend a few days ago. She goes, I don't know what it is, but there is something brewing, something, I feel it. Now, I'm not saying this out of fear that it's good or bad. It's just, I think energetically, we're all just like, yeah, something's moving. There's some energy moving. So this eclipse helps to speed up the timetable for necessary action. So sometimes we have to have these events, okay, that really accelerate this, bring this all up for healing, this earthquake, have you, of consciousness, collective consciousness. And we sort of have to do that to purify. And so we're able to make the shift to a higher vibration, climbing that ladder of ascension consciousness. So it's nothing to be afraid of, but it's certainly something to be aware of. I think that awareness and understanding of where our real power lies is the key to moving through this. The energy of this eclipse is not favorable for ease and support during the expression of the democratic process. Well, that's okay. This obviously, maybe it'll be a turbulent process. We need to, and please hear me, because I really enjoy listening to all perspectives. So I really consider myself a critical thinker. I like to learn all aspects. You're not going to convince me by your opinion. Sorry to say it. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm choosing to direct you to your heart and to find your own answers. That's what my goal is. And so I'm not going to align with anyone's thoughts. I love to hear your thoughts, and I love to listen and discuss those, but ultimately I'm holding the hand of Christ in my decision-making process and trying to be more discerning in the process rather than just attached to what the media is saying or certain articles are implying. And I don't want to be taken in by one thought system or one religion or one belief system or what have you. I want to embrace and encompass it all. and sort of put it in the mixing bowl and say, okay, what comes out in the greatest good for everybody? So this is a time of great need for prayer. There's a astrologer that I really align with. She's such a pleasant woman. She's pleasant to look at. She's got just a sweet demeanor, very sweet, positive energy, very intelligent. She's a British woman. You can find her on YouTube. She puts out talks, I don't know, when she feels like it. Sometimes it's more often than others. But her name is Pam Gregory. And you can find her on YouTube. And don't mistake her for, there's another person posing as Pam Gregory. It's not her. But anyway, check her out on YouTube. She's got so many positive things to, a lot of positive input to put into her astrological vision and insights. And so she's very grounded in what the astrology tells us, and also, but here's what you need to do. Here's the positive. And so much of what she shares is in alignment with what I've been sharing with you guys for years now. And that's why it's so important. It's certainly fine and wonderful to have beliefs and align with maybe a certain party or a thought system or belief. It's same thing with religion as politics and other things. Some people find their peace and their centeredness through one religion, where some people find it with no religion or another religion, or maybe a more esoteric approach, but everybody sort of finds their way the way they're meant to. Well, same thing politically, and same thing with all sorts of decisions we make throughout the day. So her message, which I've said over the years multiple times, and I think it bears repeating until we get it, myself included, is that we really, if we're angry, if we are attacking, if we are, I'm right and you're wrong, whatever it is, if I've got an emotional investment in an outcome, and that I have this emotional investment that I'm right and you're wrong, then guess what? You're feeding the fire of what you don't want, because you're energetically putting all that out into what you don't want. So I don't know what the best is. I certainly understand, because I do look at all religions and all politics, and I'm like, okay, I can now understand why people think the way they do and align with what they do. Don't agree with it, a lot of it, but I can understand it. And just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It's just not for me. So we all have to honor each other's journey and understand that we're all on our path, and understand that we're all here to support each other and encourage each other and love each other and lift each other up. And we don't have to make another person wrong. I know years ago, my father was always a wise man, and he politically had his leanings. He certainly didn't discuss them. It was not, I asked him about the political affiliation of one of his siblings. He goes, I never asked her. I don't know. And then someone was ranting about the current president and how awful he was and all that. And my father, being a, World War II, Battle of the Bulge, he's a patriot, the world's best generation. I have to say that they were definitely of a different, so solid and strong. And his response to this rant was, we elected this person, they're in office, and now it's our job to support them and to pray for them and to lift them up. Where has that gone? The thing is, some of you guys listening are going to be delighted at the outcome, and some of you are going to be not so happy. And just because, there's going to be winners and losers. Okay. So what's the highest degree of love that we can bring into this? Bless it all. Pray for the greatest good for everybody to be done. And I love this quote from Abraham Lincoln. And I've shared it around elections before, but I think it's just so powerful. And he says, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, because God's side is always right. So that's really what we have to do. We have to let go of our ego agenda and be on the side of God, or the side of love, because that's the side that's always right, that's going to elevate us and bring us peace and joining in unity that we're all seeking. So I would suggest that our prayer be, thy will be done. May that all those who serve the greater good, whatever that looks like, and maybe the greater good is for some rattling and rolling and shaking to occur, for us to wake up. I don't know, but just pray that the greatest good and God's will be done, whatever that is, for all of us, not just for the group that thinks this way or this way. What is the greatest good for everybody? I don't know what that is, but I do know God knows. It's what Abraham Lincoln said, were these, we have to keep, our politics more. I definitely believe in having a spiritual approach to politics, but in the sense of the greater good and what would love decide in this situation, and what is the greater good for everybody, and to take all things into consideration, not just cherry pick these ideas that support your agenda. We've got to get these lobbying and agendas out of the mix and really go to the higher level of playing field. And that is, what's the greatest good for everybody? And I do believe that is God's will. What is it? The outcome, I really don't know. And yes, I voted. And yes, I chose in alignment with my heart. And if my party and my decisions win, fantastic. And if they don't, I pray that I can just move on and bless the process, because that's what's going to allow us to ascend faster and more peacefully through this process. Yogananda, what's he say? Fools argue, wise men discuss. I love having discussions, not arguments, discussions, where people are in a discussion, not needing to be right. Certainly you can be, you can have passion in your discussion and why you think the way it is. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, we can exchange ideas. But at the end of the day, as he says, fools argue, wise men discuss. Ellen and I had some friends, some neighbors over a couple of nights ago, and we were discussing, didn't plan to go there, some issues that normally wouldn't come up, particularly since we don't know these people too well. And we just came from a very civil, open conversation. There was no defense, no attack, no hard agenda, no outcome desired. It was just an open discussion. And the gal said when she walked out, it was like, wow, that was one of the best discussions that I've had in a while. And it was so much fun talking to you guys about this, because we kept it light, not light. It was a deep conversation, but we kept it civil and loving and open. So we need to, we say, I think a lot of people's spirituality goes down the toilet when it comes to politics on both sides. And I think there's a huge message in that for all of us to pay attention to. So we really need to understand one of the things too, that, we hear back to the rule of law. I love that, but maybe in a different concept. The rule of law, I'm under no laws but God's. What are God's laws? Well, compassion, peace, understanding, generosity, kindness, all of these attributes, those laws of forgiveness, non-judgment, those are the laws that I choose to follow. And what comes from that, the more of us that collectively tap into the laws of God or the aspects of God, we're feeding that instead of the division, and we're making space or an energy for that to unfold, the laws of God to unfold. But there is a level of unknowing and trust that we have to be willing to let go and let God. We've heard that before, right? So what are we praying for? What are you praying for? And how do we pray in a situation like this, or in any situation? As you know, I lead a prayer ministry and have the support of a lot of ADL ministers. It's a beautiful ministry. It's been a wonderful experience, and I love it. I love participating in it, sharing it, and it's an honor to be able to do that. And we also, in the Course in Miracles, are currently discussing the Song of Prayer, which is the prayer, true prayer, according to the Course in Miracles. And prayer is not asking, it's actually praise and thanksgiving, giving gratitude. It's not, there's a ladder of prayer, and actually a low level of prayer. And sometimes, you just do it because sometimes you're hurting and you need some help, but it might be, heal me of this, I need money, whatever it is. And so we're praying for something. And I think that, and often, because collectively you've got a group of people, Betty needs money, Betty needs a healing, and collectively that occurs. It occurs because of the collective energy applied to that. But again, what about that, ultimate highest place on the ladder of prayer is communion with God and trust in the process, and knowing, even though the outcome may have been something that I didn't ask for or want, maybe that is the highest good. And so if we can just trust the process, thy will be done, thy will, not my will, that's a high level of prayer. Let's not pray Tuesday to be, may blue win or may red win. It's thy will be done for the greater good of all. How does that sound? Can you do that? Are you open to that? Maybe that's something to think about. So as we move into these next couple of days, probably the next week, we're going to be experiencing lots of interesting energetics out there and experiences. I suggest we do whatever we can ourselves, because we're all one. Whatever I can do to stabilize my own emotions and stay centered and peaceful and happy is a great blessing to the collective. So do more of that if you can. Pray for the best outcome for all to be done. Thy will, not my will, be done. That means I have to surrender and let go and trust the process. And what we can also do is, I think that we all are understanding the power of consciousness and emotions, and that every thought has an effect. Our emotions are creating. We live in a vibrational universe. So we want to elevate the vibe from fear to love, from darkness to light. And we do that by, again, becoming more tuned in to the voice of love within us and projecting that out into the world. So what we're doing is, through that, blast out all the light and love you can. Non-judgment, peace, acceptance, forgiveness, all those. Let go of any agenda you might have. I surrender to the greatest good of all. And then we're going to see literally those mountains move. The faith of the mustard seed is going to move those mountains. And we're going to see the evolution of consciousness shift like we've never seen it before. So we could have we can have that wrecking ball come in and kick us till we get it, or we can take part in the collective dream. It's up to us, but each of us plays a role in this awakening. So hope you take some of this to heart and share it with your friends. And in the meantime, I'm sure we'll have an interesting conversation next week to discuss. And if you want to join us on Fridays for our Course in Miracles group, the link to that is on my website, charlottemcginnis.com, and you can check it there, and would love to see you there. If not, we'll see you next Sunday, and peace and love to all. Thank you so much. Namaste.